The mess hall of the GSV Retribution buzzed with the usual post-shift chatter as 3rd Battalion settled in for their evening meal. The holographic displays showed Earth rotating slowly in the corner. Their next assignment, a supposedly easy pacification mission against the primitive humans. "Listen to this," Lieutenant Crix wheezed, his breathing apparatus hissing with amusement as he read from his data pad. "The humans have a myth about one of their warriors called Achilles. They claim he was invulnerable except for his heel, and that he single-handedly turned the tide of a 10-year war." Raucous laughter erupted from the assembled Zeltharian soldiers, their natural chittering mixed with the electronic translations, creating a cacophony of mirth. "Invulnerable!" Sergeant Voxtal slapped the table with a tentacle. "These primitives and their ridiculous stories. Next they'll tell us their gods throw lightning bolts." "Oh, they do have that one too," Crix continued, scrolling through the cultural database. "Apparently their Zeus could level mountains with his bare hands. And there's one called Samson, who supposedly brought down an entire building just by pushing on 2 pillars. The laughter grew louder. Even the junior officers were joining in now. "My personal favorite," chimed in Corporal Yexd, "is their Hercules. Supposedly completed 12 impossible tasks, including holding up the sky and killing a monster that grew 2 heads for every one cut off." "Pathetic," Lieutenant Crix shook his head. "No wonder they're still confined to 1-star system. They waste time creating these absurd fantasies instead of developing proper technology." The mess hall fell silent as Colonel Thanemore entered. The Zeltharian war hero moved slowly, his exoskeleton bearing the scars of a dozen campaigns. His left arm had been replaced with cybernetics after the Siege of Proxima, and his compound eyes had been augmented after the Battle of the Void Reaches. Veterans throughout the hall straightened in respect. "Colonel," Lieutenant Crix called out, emboldened by the group's earlier mirth. "We were just discussing human mythology. Quite entertaining, really. They seem to believe individual warriors could accomplish impossible feats." Colonel Thanemore's mandibles clicked slowly as he collected his meal and approached their table. The younger soldiers made room eagerly, hoping to hear tales of his legendary battles. "Human myths," the colonel said quietly, settling his bulk onto the reinforced chair. "Tell me, Lieutenant, which myths were you discussing?" "Oh, the usual primitive nonsense. Invulnerable warriors, men who could level buildings, heroes completing impossible tasks." Crix's breathing apparatus wheezed with residual amusement. The colonel's scarred head tilted slightly. "I see. And you find these amusing?" "Well, yes, sir. I mean, surely you can appreciate the absurdity." "Lieutenant." The colonel's voice carried the weight of authority that had commanded fleets. "Have you ever fought humans?" The mess hall's chatter died completely, all attention focused on their table. "No, sir. This will be my first deployment against them. But our intelligence reports show they're technologically inferior. Primitive weapons, basic armor, simple tactics." Colonel Thanemore was quiet for a long moment, staring at the slowly rotating image of Earth. When he spoke, his voice carried across the silent mess hall. "I have fought humans, Lieutenant. I was at the Kepler Station incident. I watched a human soldier continue fighting for 3 hours with a hole through his torso that should have killed him instantly. He held a choke point against 30 of our warriors until his reinforcements arrived." The silence deepened. "I saw a human medic run into plasma fire to drag wounded comrades to safety, making 7 trips before enemy fire finally brought him down. I witnessed human engineers jury-rig a reactor core explosion that crippled our dreadnought using nothing but spare parts and determination." Colonel Thanemore turned to face Lieutenant Crix directly. "At the Titan mining colony, I watched a single human demolitions expert collapse an entire underground complex to prevent us from taking it. He was trapped inside when he triggered the charges. The blast was visible from orbit." The colonel's cybernetic arm whirred softly as he reached for his meal. "You want to know the truth about human myths, Lieutenant? They're not myths. They're memories. Every impossible story they tell is based on something one of their kind actually did. Achilles, Hercules, Samson, they're not fantasies. They're inspiration. They're reminders of what humans are capable of when they're pushed beyond their limits. He stood slowly, his meal untouched. The humans don't create myths about impossible heroes, Lieutenant. They create impossible heroes, then tell stories about them afterward. The mess hall remained silent long after the colonel left.